Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by. Yeah, I know I really like this Hate Bears thing. It's pretty fun, and yeah, I'm glad you stopped by to take a look at the video today too. So, if you stopped, most likely that means you have already seen the other version of Hate Bears that I made. That version is really cool, but it folds to aggro pretty easily. This one is a little bit better, where it can hold up. And just kind of get in against aggro a little bit better. Made some changes here, and I just wanted to go over everything as well. And I figured we'll start off with the leader once again, just because it's been a few weeks or maybe a month or so since we spoke about Sabé last. Before we get into the deck today, I just wanted to ask if you could please like and subscribe. I'm still pretty new at Star Wars Unlimited content, and definitely would appreciate any support that you could give me. So appreciate you stopping by, and I definitely appreciate all the kind words so far. So thanks so much for that. Really do appreciate it. And by all means, keep the support coming. I could use it. So also, if you have any ideas for future videos, something that you'd like to see, put it down below. I'd love to see what you have to say, and we'll jump in from here. So why do I call this deck Hate Bears? If you didn't see the first video, there's a term for hate bears in a different game that I used to play called Magic, and it would refer to small units that basically made the game harder for your opponent to play. They may have possibly made the game more difficult, like tax cards, make them cost more, make it so you can't play cards, things of that nature, and they just kind of all cumulatively stacked up. And that was where the term came from anyway. And this is a take on this, but for Star Wars Unlimited now, because I think that we have enough pieces. And I'm still really fine-tuning this, but I'm at a point where I feel pretty happy with this overall. And I think Sabé is a good leader. So let's go over everything, starting off with the leader. Sabé is cunning heroism, and she has a friendly ability where you may exhaust this leader if a friendly unit deals combat damage to a base, and if you do, you get to look at the top two cards of defending player's deck, and you get to discard one of those cards. Sabé flips on 5, and she's a 3/6, and she has text when she deals damage to a base that you get to look at an opponent's hand. You get to make them discard a card of your choice, but then they get to draw a card. So we're really an information-based deck. We want to see what our opponent has and get a lot of bits of information. And it's really going to start with looking at the top card of our opponent's deck and getting an idea of what they're playing, that with some targeted discard. And we'll go over everything here. So Chopper, I bumped this up to 3. The only other card that I'm considering playing is swapping out the Leias for Greedo potentially. Chopper is a very good turn 1 play because we're running a very small Spectre sub-theme here, and it works really good with Sabé. This one is a 1/3, and while you control another Spectre unit, it gains raid 1. That's not really why we're playing Chopper, though. The on attack ability, where we can discard a card from the defending player's deck. If it's an event, we can exhaust a resource that player controls. Small taxing effect. And since we're going to be able to see 2 cards anyway, we want to nest the ability, so we do the Sabé ability first, and then we can get rid of, if they have an event and a unit, let's say, we can get rid of the unit and then leave the event, and now we know Chopper is going to get rid of it, and that's going to tax their resources a little bit. Just a small thing. Jam Communications is also from the main deck, but I think I changed the numbers here. I don't remember exactly what I tweaked, but this is just a 1-cost way to look at an opponent's hand. It's great against control decks because this lets us look at an opponent's hand, and then they have to discard an event of our choice. If they're not playing events, it's okay. If you want to think of it this way, 1 cost to look at our opponent's hand and get information, it's going to be good for stuff like our regional governor later. It's just a way to get information. If they happen to be running something like events that are going to disrupt us, then great, we can take something as well. I did mention the Leia before, but I didn't go over what it does. This one's a 2-cost 2/2, and when it enters play, we can either ready a resource or exhaust a unit. we could ready one of our own resources, but 9 times out of 10, this is to exhaust an opposing unit. And usually we want to target something bigger with Leia. Of note, too, just to keep in mind, this deck usually likes to be on the play. Just so that we can get our early stuff in. You'll kind of see as we go along, and I'll mention it a little bit more, but Leia is one of those types of cards where we really prefer to have the initiative. That way we can just exhaust something big your opponent has. If we cannot be on the draw, we have our 2 Sentinels, our Lobot and our Lothwolf. Lobot I prefer, that's why I put it in the 3 here, but Lothwolf is just as good. The Lobot can basically get in an attack, whereas the Lothwolf cannot, and that's why I favored it 3 to 2. They're both 2-cost Sentinels. The Lobot is a 0/4 with grit, and the Lothwolf is a 3/3 that can attack, but it's a Sentinel. Both, like I said, both are good, but we really prefer to have Lobot on turn 1. Outer Rim Headhunter, I like this card quite a bit in this deck because we have a pretty early to deploy leader. 5 is pretty quick for this game, so this is a 2-cost space unit, 1/3 with raid 1. We don't really care about the raid. But on attack, if you control a leader unit, you may exhaust a non-leader unit. And that's where this comes into play. I really like this because it's good at, again, controlling the board. This is another card where we really prefer to have the initiative when we're playing this or when we're attacking with it, so that we can get the big unit exhausted anyway. Regional Governor is another one of those cards where we want to get information, and something like the GM Communications comes in handy. Also, as we're looking at our opponent's deck and we're seeing the cards that we have the choice of that we can discard, we're getting a better idea of what they have, and we can also look at their discard pile and go from there if we forget or whatever. Of note, if this is something you decide to play in the future, you are allowed to take notes at an event as long as you come with a fresh piece of paper, nothing written on it, nothing coming in, and it has to be completely blank. So you can come in and you can take notes of your opponent's deck if you want while you're playing this. But again, just make sure you come in with something that's new, not written on, and you want to make sure that you have something to write with, obviously. And you can take notes about what you've seen with your Sabé and go from there. Regional Governor is a 2-cost 1/4, and when we play it, we get to name a card, and while this unit is in play, opponents can't play the named card. So this really shuts down something that could be potentially scary that we need to just make it so our opponent can't play. And just remember, this says that your opponents can't play it. Doesn't mean that we cannot play it. So we can play it, the named card, they just can't. It's a 1/4 also, so keep that in mind. We've got 3 Spark of Rebellion. It's pretty good as a first turn play in this deck, where we can just look at their hand and get rid of something on turn 1. Sometimes people will just have one turn 1 play, so we can go from there and just look at whatever they have and make them get rid of it. Sabine's Masterpiece is kind of a catch-all in this deck, where it's a 3-cost 3/3 space unit. It's got 4 attack triggers. We're really only going to see blue or yellow. The blue one has heal 2 damage from a base, which is going to always be helpful. And the yellow is going to be exhaust a resource, which again, this is something that we really prefer to be on the play, the initiative with this. That way we can get in and exhaust that unit. We've got 3 copies of Outmaneuver, and this one's pretty straightforward. 3 cost, we get to choose an arena, ground or space, and exhaust each unit in that arena. Just a good way to lock all the units down. Nothing too special here. Wrong Ride, I've got 2 copies in here, and I've liked this. I'm still kind of on the fence whether I want to keep it in the very final build or not, but I like it so far. It fits the theme. And the Wrong Ride is 3-cost event, and it has plot, so when we deploy our leader, we can pay the plot cost and play this with our leader. So it exhausts 2 enemy resources. And you may think to yourself, why do we want to spend 3 to exhaust 2 of our opponent's resources? And it's just a tempo play, just so that we're trying to shut them down as much as possible, especially if we've seen their hand or we know what's coming and we really want to shut down a big play. This is a good way to do it. Ahsoka is also very annoying, and this is another one where it's better to be on a play with her because it's a 4-cost 3/5, but once she's played, opponent has to discard a card. If it's a unit, we can exhaust a unit. So something to keep in mind, another way to exhaust something. Another card that we have with plot that I really like a lot, and I had to bring it down to 3 just because it got a little sketchy sometimes. I just wanted to see other cards. If we can get Galen down before we can deploy Sabé, it's great, but what does it do? It's another 4-cost 3/5 with plot. When played, we can name a card, and while this unit is in play, each non-leader card an opponent owns with that name, including those in play, not in play, lose all abilities. This can be a base. So if you play this, you can name Energy Conversion Lab. You can name a card, like an event, Super Laser Blast, let's say. And while this is in play, it basically has no text. So it's very cool. It does work on bases. You can name units. You can just shut down the units completely. It's really, really good. Very versatile. Our other Spectre play comes in with Kanan Jarrus, which is a good way for us to stabilize. It's a 4-cost 4/5. It's a Force Jedi Rebel Spectre, which works with our chopper from before. On attack, we may discard 1 card from the defending player's deck for each friendly Spectre unit, and we get to heal 1 damage from our base for each different aspect among the discarded cards. So if we discard 2 cards because we've got Kanan and Chopper, that doesn't mean that we'll get up to 4. It's among the total. So if we've got 3 total aspects, we get to heal 3. So if there's a red, a yellow, and a black, let's say, we would heal 3. Kira, I'm still kind of on the fence, but it fits the theme of the deck, what we're trying to do. So I still have her in here. But it's another 4-cost 3/5. When played, we get to look at an opponent's hand, then name a card. While this unit is in play, each card with a name costs 3 more for your opponents to play. So we can just name something that is troublesome and make it cost 3 more. The rest of the deck is kind of focused on finishing up the game. These are our game-ending threats, so to speak. Lightmaker is the least expensive, 5-cost, 3/4 in space, but it has raid 4. And when it's defeated, we get to choose an enemy arena, and we get to exhaust each enemy unit in that arena. Very handy, fits the theme of the deck, has finishing power. It's just great. Captain Rex, I put this in here recently. This card is bonkers, especially in here. 6-cost 7/7. When played, when this unit completes an attack, give this unit and an enemy unit Sentinel for this phase. It's so hard to get through this, especially if we've shut down plays with Regional Governor, or Galen, Kira, stuff like that. It just makes the game a lot harder. Luke, if it's a blue deck, Luke is always a good bet because this can defeat an opposing unit, and it also restores, and it's a clock. And that's the primary deck. We do have some sideboard cards here. For heavier aggro, I've got 2 copies of Eye of Aldani. I want to make a note here that this card is good early in the game. So if you're going to play this, I would say play it up to the 5 resource turn, and unless your opponent is going really super wide, like flooding the board with units, just resource it after that. You want to play it on the 3 resource, 4 resource, maybe the 5 resource turn, and that's it. It's a very small window. This card says it costs 1, and at the start of the next action phase for each enemy unit, its controller must pay 1 or exhaust that unit. We want to get this earlier in the game because later on it's just easy for them to pay for it. That's all. That's really the primary reason. But it's a good way to stall the game down because either they're going to exhaust their units or they're not going to be able to play cards that turn. Either way, it's a win for us. We slow the game down. 2 copies of Faith in Your Friends. I have this in here for more of like the mid-range-ish things. I'm actually thinking about taking this out. I'm not, it's kind of a remnant, but it's still good enough because it's giving us card selection against mid-range, and it's putting some bodies on there. That's my primary reasoning on this. But it costs 2. Search the top 3 cards of your deck for a card and draw it. So we get to look at the top 3 and then pick a card, put it in our hand. Then you may disclose Cunning, 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 Heroism, Heroism. And if you do, we get to make 2 spy tokens. So best case, we get card selection and we get 2 0/2s with raid 2. It's not bad. And it's just kind of good for board presence. Blue Ace is against space heavy decks. 4 cost 4/5 with ambush on attack. Ready and exhausted enemy unit. Most of the time this is not a downside at all, but it is great stats and ambush. Love it. I got 2 copies of Takedown in the side here. Defeat an enemy unit with 5 or less remaining hit points. Great card. I don't think it needs a ton of explanation. If you want to switch this to something like a Vanquish, by all means you can, or Knowledge and Defense would be fine too, but my preferred removal is Takedown. And lastly, 2 copies of Bo-Katan Kreese. It's a good way to finish the game off against aggro if we can get to the late game, which I think that we should. But it's a 9 cost 8/8. When played, give each enemy unit -3/-3 for this phase, and when an enemy unit is defeated, give an experience token to a friendly unit. I've had a lot more success with this version of the deck against aggressive decks, and I wanted to share it with you. So that is the deck. I really appreciate you stopping by, and I genuinely really appreciate the support. So thanks so much. Really appreciate it. I'm doing this for fun. I love Star Wars Unlimited, and yeah, support would really help quite a bit. Otherwise, really appreciate all your support. As I said, may the Force be with you, and I hope that you are well, my friends. Take care.